Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Guru Medeva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 हरिहि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिहि ओम नमस्ते once again everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste Guruji.
So, on 3rd July we celebrated Guru Purnima, isn't it? And in the last class, Vivekachudamani, there was a request made during the satsang that I should deliver a talk on Guru Purnima to commemorate Guru Purnima. I thought about it, then I felt that already, we are talking so much about Guru, and in this Vivekachudamani itself, just a couple of classes ago, we saw the Guru's qualifications of Guru, and in very great detail we have seen, and we are basically remembering the Gurus in all the classes that we conduct. So I thought that if I talk anything on Guru Purnima with respect to Gurus, Guru Mahima, or significance of Guru Purnima, etc. I think significance of Guru Purnima, I did render a talk last year, if I'm not wrong. I have a vague memory. So then I thought that, I will not, have a special talk on Guru Purnima. But then the class that we are going to have after the Guru Purnima, we will start the class with a prayer to Vyasacharya, whose birth is commemorated by this Guru Purnima. It's also called Vyasa Purnima, this Guru Purnima. It has got a lot of significance, which I have also talked about it. Many of you know also. See, normally these Guru Purnima talks and other talks, on occasions are given by Mahatmas, Sannyasis, etc. for the general public. Because they want to inspire the people to come towards, spirituality and, follow the spiritual path. Whereas in our case, you are all already converted. So there is no need to convert the already converted ones, rather. You are all been regularly attending the classes and, patiently listening. So there is a connect already made. So there is no need to, have a separate talk on Guru Purnima. But having said that, I felt we must pay our respect, we must pay our namaskarams to the Gurus, Guru Parampara, especially Vyasacharya. Because without Vyasacharya, we would not be sitting here and, doing these talks or studying these texts rather. Vyasacharya, and in that parampara, Shankaracharya came, and we are, blessed to have all these Gurus in our parampara. So we will offer a small prayer to Vyasacharya. It's from Vishnu Sahasranama. I will chant it. You can also chant, at your place, but mute it so that others don't get disturbed. Okay. Om Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave Namo vai Brahma Nidaye Vasishtaya Namo Namaha. In fact, in yesterday's class also, I started with this introduction only. We offered our respects to Vyasacharya in Bhagavad Gita class. And there, one thing occurred to me, which I mentioned there in the class. See, there is a very, normally, gurus, we hold gurus in very high esteem. And why do we hold the gurus in high esteem and not the God? I mean, we normally equate the guru to the God. We say Guru is Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Si Gurave Namah. That is what we say, right? We are equating Guru to the God. But Sant Kabir Das, in one of his couplets, many of you might have heard of Kabir ke Dohe, the couplets he has written, they call Dohes. He actually exalts the Guru more than even Ishvara or God. That Doha is, he says, Guru Gobind Dou Kade, Kake Lago Pai, Barihari Guru Apno, Jin Govind Dio Batai. He says a Guru is greater than even God. Govind here means God, because Guru is the one who has introduced me to the God. So whose feet I should touch first? To whom should I do the namaskaram first? He says you should do namaskaram to the Guru first. So even if you come across someone, Guru and also Bhagavan are standing in front of you, first do namaskaram to the Guru. That is the exalted position Guru is given in our parampara. So with those words, we again offer our respects to the entire Guru Parampara, especially Vyasacharya, Adi Shankara, everyone, including Puja Swami Dayanand Saraswati ji, Paramathanna ji, all the Gurus who have been helpful and who have been guiding us in the spiritual path all along. And with that, we will go into Vivekachudamani. Okay. We are seeing the 23rd shloka of our compilation. I think I read the shloka, if I am not wrong, because I'll first read the shloka. Shri Guru Vacha Ma Bhaishta Vidvamstava Nastyapaya Samsara Sindhostaranotupaya Yenaiva Yatayatayosya Param Tameva Margam Tava Nirdeshami. So after the student, the seeker has surrendered to the Guru for protecting him and saving him from the scorching and tormenting heat of samsara, which he compared to a forest fire, right? And after glorifying the Guru's nature, last two slokas we have seen all these things. We saw that the Guru accepts the seeker as his student. He reassures the student that he has come to the right place, and that the Guru knows the way out of the samsara, and the Guru gives a big and encouraging promise to the student. After that, this Guru starts the teaching from this sloka. So he addresses the student as what? Vidwan. Vidwan stava is there, right? So we have to split it into two separate words, Vidwan and Tava. Vidwan is Sambodhana, addressing the student. Hey Vidwan, O intelligent student, O informed student. Because he is addressing this way because the Guru understands that the student is not a novice. He actually has, studied probably under some other Guru or come to know otherwise talking to people and all. And he has come to a stage where he has realized the problem of this ephemeral world, this samsara. His goal is also very clear. He wants to get out of it. He wants freedom from that. And he has also understood that the only way that you can get freedom from this samsara is self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is the only solution. And therefore, the Guru addresses him as, O intelligent, informed student, Vidwan, Ma Bhaishta. This word Bhaishta actually, for those who know Sanskrit, most of us we won't even know the difference. This word Bhaishta actually is Abhaishta. It is derived from the verbal root bhi bhaye, bibeti, to be scared or frightened. So this Abhaishta, because of a grammar rule in Sanskrit, it becomes Bhaishta. Actually, it's a very tricky expression, and only those who know grammar very well will know. Otherwise, if you say Bhaishta means, you will not find the meaning for this word Bhaishta. Abhaishta is the correct word, right? But then it is pronounced as Bhaishta because of the grammar rule. Anyhow, so we will take it as Abhaishta only according to the proper grammar. Abhaishta means don't be scared of samsara anymore. Relax. Ma bhaishta, ma abhaishta. Tava apayah nasti. There is no more danger to you. You are out of danger. Because I am going to help you out. And he gives the reason also. Samsara sindhoho tarane upayah asti. Upayah means a way out, a method or a solution. Samsara sindhuhu. Samsara sindhu means ocean of samsara. Often in our scriptures, samsara or the human bondage, what we call this bandhana, it is compared to an ocean to indicate its vastness as well as its depth and the varieties of dangers which lurk inside the ocean. And many of those dangers are unknown and unpredictable also. If you get into the ocean, into the deep ocean, you don't know. There are sharks, whales, and so many things are there. So many different jivas are there under the ocean. We have not even heard about them. So samsara sindhoho, the vast ocean of samsara, tarane. Tarane means to cross over. Upayah, as I told, upaya means a means, a solution, a way to do it. Asti is there. There is a definite way to cross this ocean of samsara. There is a vaccine already invented, available, free of cost. And not only it is available, the Guru says, I have got that vaccine. Tameva margam tava nirdishami. That path alone, tameva margam, that path alone, that solution alone, that remedy alone, tava nirdishami. I shall certainly show you, I shall teach you that. I shall show you the same spiritual path. Tameva margam tava nirdishami. Now, what type of margam or path it is? He says, Yena eva yatayaha yata. Asya param yena eva yatayaha yata. The second line you will see. Read it. By traveling such a spiritual path alone, many acharyas, many jnanis have crossed over the ocean of samsara. Here the word asya refers to samsara sindhu, the ocean of samsara. That ocean of samsara. Param, shore of the ocean of samsara. Yataha means they have reached. Who are they? Yatayaha. Yatayaha is from the word yatihi. Yati's plural form is yatayaha. Yatihi, the direct meaning is sannyasi, a person of what you can call a monastic order. And the word yatihi etymologically means a person who puts forth committed effort. Yatate iti yatihi. Who works hard for attaining moksha. Such a person is called yatihi. See, there are certain words which is used in the Shastras which are to be used only in the context of the Shastras. Even though they may carry a general meaning. I mean, for example, I can give you the word guru. It is translated as a teacher. Now, can we use the word guru for any teacher? The answer is no. Because in our culture, in our Shastras, knowledge is divided into two types of knowledges. One is a general, ephemeral knowledge, you can call them apara, apara jnanam, you can call it. That is worldly knowledge, knowledge of, subjects like physics, chemistry, economics, history, mathematics, etc. The other is called parajnanam, which is spiritual knowledge. So the word guru is used only in the context of spiritual knowledge, the one who teaches or who imparts spiritual knowledge. So these are all these specialities of the language in the scriptures. So the word yatihi, even though it generally means etymologically a person who puts forth committed effort. So a person who is climbing the Everest also can be called a yatihi. But normally we will not do that. It will not be. So yatihi means normally we will refer to a sannyasi. And the meaning of sannyasi is given because a sannyasi is one who has renounced everything to exclusively work for moksha. You and me cannot be called yatihi because we are sailing in two boats. We want moksha also, but we don't want to give up our samsara, our grihastha enjoyments and pleasures also. Whereas a sannyasi has given up all that. He has committed. That's why the word committed is used. Committed effort. Exclusive effort. So that dedication of the sannyasi is indicated by the word yatihi. And whoever has got that sincerity and dedication towards spiritual knowledge, spiritual path, he or she can be called yati. But that should be, commitment should be there. So even if we extend, suppose there is a householder, he is still a grihastha, he has certain responsibilities which he feels that he should fulfill, but at the same time, he is detached to a large extent from all the samsara sukha, and he is sincere and committed to spirituality and moksha pursuit, we can extend the word yati. It's just like, as I've been discussing earlier also, grihastha sannyasi, he can also be called a yati. One who has got an attitude of a sannyasi in his day-to-day life. So he also can be called yati. So yatayaha, all such committed people have crossed over samsara, not after death, but while living, they have found the shore, the moksha. So he says, Yatayaha yena margena asya samsarasya param yataha tam margam tam upayam tava nirdishami. Whatever method the committed people followed and have crossed over the ocean, reached the other shore, that path I will show you, I will take you through. Therefore, relax and listen to me very carefully, says the Guru. So now, after this, the initial exchange of words between the Guru and Shishya is over. Now, the real core of Vedanta is going to start. It's going to follow. So we have to now focus our minds, apply our minds. I will try my best to communicate whatever I know I have learned. And all of you should also focus your attention to receive these abstract concepts, because Vedanta is an abstract concept. Moksha is an abstract concept. You can't see moksha. So that is why we require a lot more concentration, lot more focus to understand these concepts. And as I told you in the last class, this will go for the next about 80 slokas, up to 104. So we will read the 24th sloka. Ajnana yogat paramatmanastava Hyanatma bandhastata evam samskritihi. Hyanatma bandhastata eva samskritihi. Tayor vivekodita bodhavannihi. Ajnana karyam pradahet samulam. So the Guru starts by introducing the subject. Anvaya of the sloka is Paramatmanaha tava ajnana yogat. He anatma bandhaha tataha evam eva samsmritihi. Tayoho viveka udita bodhavannihi ajnana karyam samulam pradahet. Paramatmanaha tava. Word meaning I am giving you. For you, who are the limitless self, Ajnana yogat, because of your association with ignorance, he only, anatma bandhaha, there is bondage with anatma. Tataha, therefore, or from that, eva alone, samsmritihi. Samsmritihi means you can take it as the flow of birth and death, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, or the life of becoming, rushing from one thing to other, always traveling to reach some other goal than what you are already. Life of becoming, as we are seeing. Samsara. Tayoho, between the two, Atma and Anatma, Viveka Udita Bodhavannihi, the fire of knowledge born of discrimination, Ajnana Karyam, the effects of ignorance, Samulam, along with the root cause, Pradahet, would burn. So the student had used one illustration of the samsara being like a forest fire, right? Now here, Guru is now using the same kind of analogy. He says, this fire, it will, the samsara will be burned by the fire of knowledge. So one fire will put out the other fire, right? So that's all, Viveka Udita Bodha Vannihi, he says, the fire of knowledge born of discrimination. So we will see the details. Okay, this is the word meaning. So this is a very profound verse, which is the foundation of the entire teaching that is going to follow. And in fact, It's important because the problem of samsara is being diagnosed in this first line of this verse. So the teacher is diagnosing the problem and referring to the cause of samsara, that is samsarasya karanam, in a very, very cryptic manner. Then he talks about the solution, samsara nivritti upaya, which he proposes to give through the following teaching. So this verse, even though first verse, it's a very cryptic verse, and it will require some background details to understand the words of the sloka and also the terminology used. So at least we will see some of the words of the sloka, we will understand what exactly the Guru is trying to convey. See, in the Vedanta Shastra, the entire universe is broadly divided into two portions or two parts. It's a twofold classification. What are they? Atma and Anatma. Atma means I, the self. First person singular. Expressed by the word I, capital I in English. Or we say self. I, self, myself are all meanings of the word Atma. And Anatma is everything else which is there in the creation other than me. Other than the self, everything else in the creation is called Anatma. Anatma is that which is not Atma. So if I am Atma, Anatma means everything other than me is Anatma. That's all. We don't, it's not a mystical word or anything, oh, Anatma, Anatma, nothing. Anatma is very simple. That which is not Atma is Anatma. Not Atma, Anatma. Na Atma, Anatma. Non-self. Or not self, you can translate. So thus the entire universe is divided into self and non-self. Now the scriptures say that I, the self, am a conscious being who is the experiencer of this entire universe, which is an object of experience. Therefore, Anatma can be called an object of experience. And when I say object, it includes all things and beings, everything, plant is Anatma from my perspective. So all other things and beings are also objects of my experience. So we can translate Anatma as object of experience also. So I am a conscious being, experiencer, knower, awarer. If I can use the word, I hope there's such a word called awarer, which can be roughly translated as the subject. So this bifurcation, this division, subject-object division. Atma, Anatma. Atma is subject and Anatma is object. Atma, the subject is experiencer. Anatma, the object is experienced. This is the two broad divisions of the entire universe. This is the starting point. We have to start from this. Now, when I refer to the self, that is me, what are all the things which are included in that me? I know that I am a conscious being, which includes my physical body, which includes the mind and the sense organs, right? All these, this body, mind, sense complex, are included in the meaning of the word I. Therefore, I is a composite entity, which includes body, mind, sense complex, etc. So when I say I am born, I refer to the birth of a body. When the body is born, I say I am born. When my eyes or sense or any sense organs perceive their respective object. For example, eyes, when they see, I say I see, I perceive. When the ears hear, I say I hear, I smell. When the mind is confused, I say I am confused. So, what we are doing is, we say I am a conscious being. At the same time, we use the word I for the body, mind, sense complex also. Therefore, the word I at this point means it includes the body, mind, sense complex. And the anatma refers to the entire cosmos other than this me. And all those, the entire cosmos, known, unknown, everything is anatma. Because the discoveries are still going on, by scientists and astronomers and all that. Future objects, today they may be existing, but we may not know it, but in future they may come, or even future objects may actually come up, we don't know. They may not be known now, but they are knowable and experienceable later. So they will also come under anatma. And we don't have any issue about this classification. There is atma, anatma, subject, object. Very easy to understand. But what Vedanta does is it introduces an issue about this particular topic. Now, what is that? Vedanta poses a question. Do the body, mind, sense complex fall within Atma, the subject? Or really, they actually belong to Anatma, the object? Now, this is shocking. We have never thought in those terms, isn't it? Right from birth, why this birth? So many births we have crossed over. All we have seen is I refers to my body, mind, sense complex also. Conscious being is there. I am conscious. That is, I always say I am a conscious being. I am sentient. But I also refer to the body, mind, sense complex as I. So thus a huge controversy is created by the Veda. It is as if shaking us from the bottom. Hey, listen to what I'm saying. Do the body, mind, sense complex fall within Atma, the subject, or Anatma? A profound question. Because with regard to wall, table, computer, house, mic, clock, photos, everything, there is no confusion. We all know that that is not me. A cupboard is not me. A fan is not me. They are all anatma. I can say they are not me, so they are anatma. We all know they are all objects. But the new debate that Vedanta throws up is whether the body, mind, sense complex will come under subject or object, Atma or Anatma. Our initial reaction to Vedanta is, where is the question of any doubt in that? Isn't it? Are you raising this Vedanta? Are you raising this question just for the heck of it? Or is it a genuine question? In fact, on the one hand, we may be shocked and surprised, and on the other hand, we will, if we are really thinkers, we will say, oh, what is it that Vedanta is trying to tell me through this question? Because we are all sure that the body is I, the Atma. Mind is either Atma. Sense organs are either Atma. There is no doubt. Not only for me, no human being has got any doubt regarding that. It's a well settled issue. My parents, my grandparents, everybody considered it that way only. That's why you ask, what is your name? I am Ganapathy. Now this Ganapathy refers to what? Body, mind, sense complex only. So there is no doubt till now. Yet Vedanta is raising this topic, and most surprisingly, Vedanta differs from this conclusion of ours. And to our utter shock and surprise, Vedanta asserts that the body, mind, sense complex does not belong to I, the Atma, the subject. They all belong to Anatma, the objective universe only. And Vedanta says that you have mistakenly misappropriated a part of Anatma and added that to the Atma without knowing the real boundary line between Atma and Anatma. Thus, Vedanta, like India, Pakistan, India, China, etc., introduces a new boundary problem. We are already facing so many boundary problems, including Nepal and all that. So many disputes are there. So one more is introduced here by Vedanta. Demarcation between Atma and Anatma. So while demarcating the boundary, question is whether the body, mind, sense complex should be taken on the Atma side or the Anatma side. We will say the body should be included in I, the Atma. Vedanta says, no, you are wrong. The body, mind, sense complex should be included in the portion belonging to Anatma. So we will ask Vedanta, how do you say so? Entire humanity understands that the body is included in the meaning of I, the Atma. And when that is such an universally concluded issue, how can you bring up another viewpoint? How can you counter it? Vedanta says, just because the entire humanity has concluded, it need not be truth or the fact. In fact, a few centuries ago, the entire humanity thought that the earth was flat. Of course, we, in our culture, our scriptures, we knew that that was not the case, but you can take the entire European population. They thought that the earth was flat. And the earth was the center of our system, and all the stars, the planets, including the sun, all of them are going around the earth. That is why these expressions, sunrise, sunset, etc., have come into vogue. Actually speaking, there is no sunrise, no sunset. Sun is fixed, it is there in one place only. But since we believed that they are going around the earth, so at one point sun is rising and then it is setting because it is traveling. This is all the confusion, and we don't even realize all these problems in our day-to-day living. And this system that earth is the center of the universe and everything goes around the earth, it was a considered and confirmed view of the entire humanity, entire church, in fact. The Christian church firmly believed in that, they never doubted it. Then one fine day, one person came and challenged this universally accepted view. Quite naturally, there was a huge resistance from the entire humanity. They ridiculed the person who held an opposite view. And after a lot of resistance, it took centuries for humanities to accept what he said was the truth. That person was Copernicus. And that theory was, I'm forgetting that technical word. Heliocentrical, I think. Heliocentric theory. So he said that you all may believe, but that's not a fact. So according to the Vedanta, it asserts that in this respect between Atma and Anatma boundary, the entire humanity is confused because of the ignorance regarding the boundary line between Atma and Anatma. So just because everybody believes in that, that need not necessarily be a fact or a truth. Therefore, Vedanta says the part of Anatma has been mistakenly misappropriated by you people and it's been taken to Atma, added to Atma. Therefore, there is self-ignorance and a self-mistake because of not settling this boundary issue. And according to Vedanta, this is a serious problem. Where many times we will say, okay, so what? How does it matter? Whether it is Atma side or Anatma side, how does it matter? Vedanta says, no, it matters. It's a very serious issue. All our grief, all our troubles, all our difficulties, all our sorrow in our life, all our samsara issues in our life is only because of not settling this issue. Why? Because when the boundary issue is not settled, at regular intervals, there will be a face-off, a stand-off, a doklam will be there. Skirmishes at the most unexpected time. At regular intervals, problems will surface if boundaries are not demarked properly. We are actually experiencing all these things, isn't it? There will be regular problems. And what is true for a country is true for the oneself also. So when the Atma-Anatma boundary is not clearly demarcated, the consequent problems that arise is called samsara. So one definition of samsara is problems that arise because of non-demarcation of the clearly non-demarcation of the boundary between Atma and Anatma. So this is the first background information we should have. This Atma, Anatma boundary should be demarcated properly. We should understand that. And also understand that all our problems in our life are because of this non-demarcation. Now, this non-settlement of Atma Anatma boundary and the consequent different views are prevailing. So now what is happening? We are viewing Atma in one way, whereas Vedanta is viewing Atma in another way. That means what? There are two versions of Atma. So first we saw there is a Atma, Anatma division. The whole universe is divided into Atma, Anatma. Now we are getting introduced to two versions of Atma. One version is a general humanity version, samsaris version. Another version is a Vedanta version. What is the difference between these two versions? Our version of Atma includes the body, mind, sense complex. I am a conscious being, which being includes my body, mind, sense complex, which alone makes me an individual. I, as a human being, whether a male or a female, young, old, fair, dark, anything, all those things. Therefore, one definition of Atma includes our body, mind, sense complex, and there is another definition of Atma, the Atma of Vedanta, which firmly excludes them. Therefore, when we are trying to understand what is Vedanta is saying, we must be very clear. There are two versions of this Atma, so we require two adjectives to refer to these two versions of Atma. And in this sloka, the Vedanta version is given, the version of Atma, which excludes the body, mind, sense complex. And here, that is called Paramaha Atma, the real Atma, the rightly understood Atma. So the Vedantic version of Atma is called Paramaha Atma or Paramatma, the real I, the real subject, the real self. Perhaps we can write self with a capital S, or we can write I with a capital I. So we have got what? One capital I, which is the Vedantic version of the Atma, and let us say a small I, with a dot on the top. Our version of Atma. And that our version of that Atma, we have given it a name. We call it Jivatma. This small I arises because of the misunderstanding and the mistake caused due to self-ignorance. And that includes the body, mind, sense complex. That is called Jivatma. So there is one Paramatma, then there is one Jivatma. So the two versions of the Atma, we can say Paramatma and Jivatma, we can give them these names, Paramatma and Jivatma. Now, this I, the Atma, which is Jivatma according to ordinary people like us, and which is Paramatma according to the Vedanta or scriptures, there is a confusion born out of ignorance. And this is what this sloka is talking about. Ajnana yogat paramatmana tava hi anatma bandha tatah eva samsmritihi. It's a long sentence. So let us just split it into 2-3 small portions to understand, right? Tava paramatmanaha means what? Tvam parama atma asi. Tat tvam asi. So here the Guru says, you are the Paramatma, a conscious being, which excludes the body, mind, sense complex. Tava Paramatmanaha, you are the Paramatma really speaking. If that is so, how come you are not aware of it? What has happened? So in the next part he says, Tava Ajnana Yogaha Asti. You are now associated with self-ignorance. That means you are ignorant of your Paramatma nature, the real you. And what is the consequence of that? Because of the ignorance of the real self, you have difficulty in understanding the correct boundary. Therefore, what have you done? you have misappropriated and including the part of anatma also unto you. Anatma bandha. So you have connected to, or you have included in, or you have identified with, or you have mistaken as yourself as anatma. So you have mistakenly included the body, mind, sense complex also in your definition of self. And which means what? When the body is mortal, you never say my body is mortal. You will rather say I am mortal. Your self perspective has totally changed because of ignorance. I am mortal is your conclusion. Tata eva samsmritihi. And because of this misappropriation, because of this misidentification, you are facing the first problem called mortality. Why? Because when the body is growing old, you say, I am growing old. Whenever you are frightened of mortality, it is really the mortality of the body that you are frightened of. But you are in the grip of fear and death, fear of old age, etc. All these are emotional problems. And emotion belongs to what? Your mind. Even though all these are fundamental problems and they are intellectual problems, even though it is a cognitive problem, it has got a cascading effect. It gets converted into several emotional issues, the most fundamental being fear. Fear of everything, insecurity, feeling of limitedness. So, tata eva, because of the fundamental mistake of ajnanam, adhyasa, misconception, or you can call it superimposition, arises. Because of you have superimposed a certain portion of the anatma onto your atma. This adhyasa means superimposition. It has produced a false version of the atma. Thus, ajnanam and adhyasa have generated the false version of the atma, which is called jivatma. Of course, the word jivatma he doesn't use. But for our understanding, because when we are talking about atma, anatma boundaries, we have convenient, it is very easy to understand if one is called jivatma, another is called paramatma. So we called the self, which include the body, mind, sense complex as jivatma. This false version of atma is called jivatma, which is now suffering from samsara. So the word samsmritihi means repeated births and deaths, which is also part of samsara. Up to this, the diagnosis of the problem is there. So self-ignorance or self-mistake or self-misconception are fundamental causes for all forms of human struggles. Self-ignorance is called ajnanam or avidya, and self-misconception or superimposition because of ajnanam is called adhyasa. So this adhyasa or misconception or superimposition can be understood with a popular illustration which is very popular in Vedanta. It is called Rajju Sarpa or a rope snake example. There was a person who saw a piece of rope lying on the floor where the light was very dim. When he sees the rope, he mistakes it for a snake. And he gets scared and runs away from there. On his way, he meets a sadhu and tells the sadhu, don't go that side, there is a big snake there. Sadhu says, show me the snake, where is it? The sadhu is a sadhu, he is not afraid of snakes and all. He spends all his time in in vana only. So he says, show me the snake. So this person takes the sadhu to the spot. And the sadhu is carrying a torch with him. And he shines the torch on the snake. And then the person realizes that there was no snake, but only a rope. So due to his ignorance, which is symbolized by the dim light, he had superimposed the image of a snake on the rope. And when the sadhu, shown, or when he shines the light of knowledge, the real nature of the rope is revealed. This superimposition of the snake on the rope and the consequent misconception is called adhyasa. In fact, Adi Shankara writes a beautiful introduction, a wonderful, profound introduction to his Brahma Sutra commentary, and it is called Adhyasa Bhashyam. It is just 1.5 pages in Sanskrit, and he establishes this adhyasa as the human problem. Vedanta will become meaningful only if we have experienced and accepted this as a real problem. And for this short Adhyasa Bhashyam in Brahma Sutra, commentaries and sub-commentaries and sub-commentaries have been written. I mean, so much volume of literature has been produced by subsequent Acharyas on this Adhyasa Bhashyam. Amazing amount. In fact, Adhyasa Bhashyam itself, for you to study along with the commentaries, sub-commentaries and all, will take 1 year of studying every day. And there, the entire problem, Shankaracharya, here, he is just presents it in one shloka, one line of the shloka, in fact. See his brilliance. 1.5 page problem he discusses in Brahma Sutra, that in Vivekachudamani, he covers the whole thing in one line. Of course, it's a cryptic line, I agree. That's why we are spending so much time trying to understand that line. Okay, now. So, if the problem is understood, what is the solution? Solution is very simple. We know the cause of the problem is ignorance, ajnanam. So, adhyasa will go away only by removal of ajnanam. And ajnanam will go away with what? Ignorance will go away only with one thing, with knowledge, with jnanam. So here, since the problem is a demarcation between Atma and Anatma, the two versions of the self, what is jnanam here? Jnanam or knowledge is understanding the real boundary between Atma and Anatma. What is Atma and what is Anatma? What is subject and what is object? What is the meaning of the word I, the self? What is the meaning of the word world? That boundary line must be very clearly demarcated. And this understanding leads to certain consequences. Firstly, it is understood that the concept of Jivatma is a mistaken concept. It has to be dismantled. So once Jivatma is dismantled, once the ignorance or misconception is gone, life becomes real relaxation. We will enjoy doing many things. There will be Sukham and Shantihi. like what we discussed in the last class. Therefore, what is the first step? Atma Anatma demarcation is the first project. What are the next steps? We will see in the next class. Okay, I'll stop here. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
Dhanyavadaha.
हरि ओम.
Hari Om. Thank you.
हरि ओम गुरुजी, धन्यवादः.
Thank you.
Hari Om Guruji.
Hari Om.
धन्यवादः
Guruji,
महोदय.
Dhanyavadaha.
Guruji,
Yes.
since there is a thin dividing line between Atma and Anatma, you said the boundary is not very clear. Since there is a very thin dividing line, why can't everything become Anatma so that all the problem is solved?
No, but consciousness doesn't belong to Anatma, you know.
No,
Problem
you
is,
say,
Huh?
see, since the dividing line is so thin and it is resulting into so many like what you have bombarded, it is true bombardment. So complex the subject is.
subject is complex. That's
So-
why I told right in the beginning, warned you. You have to focus because this is the core of Vedanta we are entering into, right? Because there is one thing,
True.
see, the question always arises that how does this entire thing work? We
Right.
see a plant, it grows into a tree,
Mm,
right? We see
correct.
a table, it doesn't grow at all, it remains a table only for years together. Whereas at the same time,
Correct.
the plant grows. A baby is born and grows into a person, a man or a woman, and then able to do lot of things
Correct.
which a cupboard cannot do.
No, likewise, even animals, insects, birds, they all grow.
Exactly. So what is it that
Okay,
makes
they have no thinking power, you can say, whereas the human being has got the thinking power.
that's a further differentiation. But I am at the basic level of trying to question what makes certain things in the universe do actions, eat, and speak, etc., or even hunt for food, etc. In fact, going one step backward, when you say someone is alive, something is alive and something is not alive.
Correct.
At one stage, there is an answer which one student gives. It is because of the breathing that we are alive.
Correct. Prana.
Question is asked by the teacher, what causes that breathing? What makes you breathe? Because breathing is a conscious action. You are taking air in and taking the air, leaving the air out, right?
Absolutely.
What causes that breathing?
But all living beings, they do that.
All right, but why don't a table or almari do it?
No, they are inanimate things.
Exactly. So what is the difference? What causes something to be animate and what causes something to be inanimate? Everything is belonging to Anatma. If you say, answer that question, why there is preferential treatment for something and why is no preferential treatment for the other? Does it mean that the universe has got some something like our scheduled caste, scheduled tribe kind of a thing? Some people will be given preferential treatment in all matters. That will be a question arising. So when we come to Vedanta, Vedanta is endless questions, go on questioning, right? So from one question, answer will come, another question will come out of that.
Certainly.
Ultimately,
Certainly.
when you go on this process, eventually you will reach a stage where you will have no answer. For example, why I am breathing, why not my table is breathing, I have no answer. What is it that makes? And now, one thing we must understand, nothing happens automatically, right? Nothing happens automatically. Okay, I will ask another question. I am breathing today.
Correct.
What happens when one fine day this breathing stops? Why am I called a live body and a dead body? I am the same. That body, mind, sense complex is still there. But from a live sentient being, I become an insentient dead person. Why? Is there an answer to the question? So when we have all such questions about, even when we take the individual, forget table and all that, even when we take a human being or an animal, when all these questions come, where do we find the answers for that? We will find the answers in the scriptures only, because
Scriptures only.
no physics book, no, in fact, physics is closely coming to that now. Quantum physics and all, the scientists today are accepting that there is something called consciousness.
Consciousness.
That they are accepting now. But still, they are struggling with their approach to science, because approach to science is everything has got to be what? Observation, illustration, and then proof. Consciousness is a concept, they say, which they are not able to observe.
Hmm.
You can observe consciousness only through another medium. Through anatma only you can come to know atma. Because, as I said right in the beginning, it's a very subtle concept. It's an abstract thing. We can't see consciousness. We can't experience consciousness. So if we have to experience consciousness, it can be experienced through only sentient beings. Be it a plant, be it a tree, be it a animal, be it a human being. So when we ask this question, what makes things sentient? Is it only breathing? Even if you accept it is breathing, what makes that breathing happen? When you find the answers, you will find the answer only in the Upanishads, in the scriptures. And that is how you come to this. That is your real self. And when you understand that, in fact, Puja Swamiji gives some beautiful examples regarding that. There was one person who was a beggar. Not a beggar, actually, he was a nomad, right? He was actually performing all these street acts and things like that, belonging to a group.
Understood. Hmm.
So he was going from place to place and all that. And he always used to wear a shirt, and nobody could see his body. Always he will be like that. Now he had a certain birthmark on his chest, which nobody could see that. What happened was, one day when some street performance was going, he was doing some sword fight or something like that. Just imagine, right? His shirt got torn. And a minister of that kingdom happened to pass by that, that route. And he saw this boy, this man actually,
With the
torn
birthmark.
with the birthmark. Immediately he went and told him, "Oh my God, you are the last prince of this kingdom. What are you doing all these street shows and all? Come to the palace, take up your right place. You will be the next king." In fact, for the last 20 years, the king has been in so much of sorrow and grief because you were lost in the childhood, somebody kidnapped you. So come and take. So this person actually was a prince. he was the ruler. He was going to be the ruler of the kingdom. And this guy, because of the ignorance of that fact, he was doing all these street business and, living a day-to-day, like hand-to-mouth existence kind of a thing, rather. So this is what Vedanta is telling you. Your real nature is that consciousness, which is eternity, which is not, which is immortal, which is limitless. Consciousness pervades the entire universe. You are of that nature. But what happened? Because you are of the lack of understanding or lack of clear demarcation between Atma and Anatma, because all these this body, mind, sense complex, you are appropriated to the Atma, to the self. What has happened is all the negative effects of that body, mind, sense complex, you are assuming as your own nature. And that is what is leading to all these problems in your life.
Problems.
So if you want to get rid of the problem, get rid of the cause which is causing the problem. What is the cause? Cause is ignorance of this fact, that this body, mind, sense complex is anatma and not atma. How do you get rid of the ignorance? By getting knowledge. That is how the Vedanta proceeds. So, if we assume everything is fine, if you are happy, there are many people who are happy. Suppose that fellow, that prince, discovered prince says, no, 20 years I have lived like this. And these people who have brought me up, the old people, I don't want kingdom, I don't want anything and all. I am very happy, I will continue to live like this. Vedanta will say, very, very good. The mantri will say, very good, fine. Your fate, your karma, you are enjoy. You are being offered a princely position and being the next king. You don't want to take it, that's your choice. So Vedanta says, this is what your real self. This is if you understand, if you assimilate this knowledge and you abide by this knowledge, what will happen? You will distance yourself from the body, mind, sense complex. You will not take all the problems of the body, mind, sense complex as your problem. You will say that, okay, this is a problem. I have got a health problem, which is related to my body. I am not affected by it. The health problem will come, health problem will go away. I will, from my side, I will try to give maximum treatment. If it doesn't happen, I am not going to be affected by this. I know that this body, mind, sense complex will perish one day. So that when the day comes also, I will not be afraid of mortality either of myself or the mortality of anybody else rather. I will take it in my own stride. Yeah, this is what is nature. There is a tree which is giving me fruits. One fine day, the tree falls and it perishes. When I see that, I don't feel, oh my God, the tree has died and all that, isn't it? So like that, I will also treat my body, mind, sense complex like that only. And I will abide in that knowledge that I am not this body, mind, sense complex. I, the self, is a real consciousness which is eternal, which is immortal, which is unchangeable. Any change happening in my body, mind, sense complex, I will not say that I am changing. I will say, I will become objective. See, I'll give you another example. I am wearing these specs, right? Now suppose this spectacles is kept in one place. And somebody asks, whose spectacles is this? What I will say? My spectacles.
Mine.
Right? Now, which clearly indicates that I am demarcating between me and the spectacles. I am not saying the spectacles is me. I am saying it is my spectacles. See the difference? It belongs to me, but it is not me. Correct?
Correct. Without a doubt.
Okay. Now I ask you, I touch you and say, whose body is this? What will be your answer?
My body.
My body. What is the difference between the spectacles, my spectacles and my body? Expression is the same. Words used are the same. So when you say the spectacles is not me, and you say my spectacles, and when you say my body, what is the result? That means this body is not me. It is mine, all right. Belongs to me, all right, but it is not me. What has happened is we are taking this body as me. Whereas in our expression, unconsciously, we say it is my body, my eyes, my teeth, my nose, which clearly means it is not me. Isn't it? But we say that I am so and so and so. All that is all. The name, the structure, the height, weight, everything belongs to what? This body, mind, sense complex. But what I say, I am tall, I am short, I am worried. This worry doesn't belong to you. It belongs to your mind. Mind is not you. Separate it. Distance yourself. That is what is all Vedanta is all about. And that's the only solution for us to escape from all these kinds of sufferings. Sufferings you cannot do away with. Isn't it? Only
True.
thing
Absolutely true.
you can actually address the sufferings in the right perspective if you understand what is the right perspective. That's all.
Very, very, very complicated.
Very deep subject, very complicated. It is complicated, but complicated is like mathematics, I say. 90% of the students in a mathematics class, you ask them, and they will say it is very, very complicated. 10 students will say, so easy, I get 100 out of 100. Isn't it? In fact, I've seen that when I was doing my cost accountancy, there was a subject called business mathematics. I studied and studied and studied and failed in that subject 2 times. Then I got married. Then my wife is very good in mathematics. So I asked her that, can you explain all these things? She taught me. And only for the purpose of examination, I studied what was to be studied. I went there with her help, of course, took the examination, passed that paper. Right? Even today, if you ask me, I will say mathematics is a very complex subject for me. So it all depends upon how you approach that subject, what is your innate, capability to take on that. And that is why Vedanta says, before coming here, you do all this sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, the preparatory stages are very important, which we saw in the first 15 slokas. Unless you have done all, when you do all that, then this becomes very simple. And this becomes very, very simple rather. That complexity vanishes rather. And Acharyas are able to teach only because they got that clarity. That clarity is there. So unless you have a clarity, unless you are convinced, you cannot teach others.
Isn't it? Absolutely.
I mean, if you ask a question, I will say, I don't know the answer. Let me think about it, and I give a vague answer and all. That will not help. That means I am also not sure what I am talking about.
What? Absolutely.
So that is a process. What will happen is it's not going to happen overnight. So it will happen over a period of time. Swami Paramarthanandaji constantly says that the only way in the spiritual path is continuous, committed, and regular study from a guru. You have to be consistent and committed. That 2 things is very important. Then you can't ride in 2-3 boats at the same time. I will do Vedanta in the evening for 2 hours. Morning I will do this. Afternoon I will do this. If you are going to do that, that will not happen.
Absolutely.
So that's why, now another aspect is that most people will not get an opportunity, but will get an opportunity to listen to these talks. So what happens to them? No, Vedanta doesn't say that you are going to get moksha in this birth itself. You can try for that. There is a method. You can do that and you can get. But introduction to Vedanta in this life itself, you are gaining all this knowledge in this life itself is becoming part of your samskara. So when the next life happens, when Krishna, we will see in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna will tell that. What will happen to person? Arjuna asked that specific question. What happens to a person who does all these things, but he does not get moksha? Answer Krishna will give. So what will happen in next birth or one of the future births? You will bloom like a flower. At that time, you will have a very intense desire. I must go to a Gurukulam. I must go and study this for a long period. I should go at least, no, if not a Gurukulam, I should go and live with an Acharya. Swami Omkarananda, that's what he did. He stayed with Swami Paramathananda for a few years and then learned the entire Vedanta and got the sannyasa diksha from him. So it's not necessary you should go to Gurukulam only. You go to any Acharya and serve him. Learn from that Acharya. That will happen. That is guaranteed. In one birth it will happen. But you have made a beginning in this birth. People who become test players, they, not overnight. Till yesterday he was a film actor. Today he has become a test player. No. They start right from the school days, start playing and cricket and things like that and all. Then when the right time comes, after a few years and all, and then they face more challenges and all, then they become test players. And when it comes to spiritual journey, we have to consider not just this birth. We must consider future births, etc. And then one guarantee Krishna gives, when answering Arjuna, he says that if you have not completed your spiritual journey in this life, in the next life, you will be born in a family which will support your spiritual journey. You will continue from where you are left off. So one thing is guaranteed. Whatever be your karma, if you have started the spiritual life in this spiritual journey in this life, you will get a human birth in the next life to continue that. So all your karmas and all, the cosmic order will set it aside, keep it in abeyance and give you a human birth out of turn. Okay, you continue this because I understand what you want to do. So then, like some special grace given, Bhagavan will give us grace to continue this spiritual journey.
You have got an incomplete task ahead of you.
Exactly. So for that we require a human birth. Yes. Suppose as per our karma, we were supposed to be born as a tiger or a dog or something. He will keep that in abeyance. The karma, cosmic order will keep that in abeyance and give you a human birth so that you can...
Another chance.
And if you are going to use that human birth properly for spiritual studies, you may get further human births. But if you fail in that birth, then what you will be, what is kept in abeyance will become operational. So that is how we have to understand this entire thing. That is how it is.
Very good. Thank you very much, Guruji. Thank you very much. Namaskaram.
Namaskar. Thank you. Any other question?
I have only one point to add. It's right now it's much more abstract compared to mathematics or science or physics or anything. It goes beyond.
That's true. The degrees of abstractions are different. That is true. But you see, this is something which is very close to us. I mean, the distance between me, the real me, and the not real me is so short that this mistake occurs. And that is why it becomes more challenging to separate these two. So it is an abstract concept, but it is a abstract does not mean that it doesn't exist. It is a real existing concept which is abstract for our understanding because we can't experience it in any manner. We can only experience it by observing certain phenomena and asking a question why that phenomenon is occurring. I mean, it is just like so many things, even science accepts this. Atom, molecule, and all that. What is atom and molecule? It's an abstract. Who has seen an atom? Who has seen a molecule? Science has posited that this is how the whole thing happens. There are atoms, there are molecules, there are subatoms, atomic particles, and all. These are all. You can't observe them. You can only observe them from the behavior of certain things, right? Can you see gravity? You can't see gravity. You can only understand gravity from the fact that something which is dropped from a top comes down to the earth. Now they say, okay, this is gravity. Gravitational pull of the earth brings it down. But if you say, I want to see gravity, how it is, you can't see gravity. You cannot see magnetism. Two things you get attracted. Can you see the force? You can't see the force. But because they are getting attracted, you assume that there is a force which is getting attracted, and we call that force a magnetism force. So this thing is not as abstract as we think. Because science is also full of abstractions only, rather. We observe a phenomenon and come to a conclusion that this must be, because of it must be there, this is happening. So like that in Vedanta also we are saying, because I am able to breathe, there must be something called consciousness, which is actually making this breathing happen. And where do I get the proof for that? In the scriptures. I say, has this been, can I establish this? Yes, you can. Because that is why, when I talked about pramanam, Veda is a pramanam. It is a means of knowledge. It is not merely, some chanting of mantras and all that. It's a means of knowledge. So that knowledge is there. So I refer to that and find out, okay, there is something called consciousness, which Veda talks about. I mean, for existence of gravity or magnetic force, where we will refer to? We will refer to some scientific physics book written by some scientist, isn't it? Newton might have written a book, I don't know. So that is where we refer. So for spiritual this thing, we will refer to the Vedas. And there it is very clearly said, this is what is the nature of the entire universe. Not only you, even inanimate things are also pervaded by this consciousness. So all those things are there. We will see more and more. 80 slokas we have to go, don't worry. So many things will get unraveled rather during this journey. We have just started today. Okay. Right. So I'll close the session. Thank you very much, all of you. Hari Om. Thank you.
ధన్యవాదాలు. హరి ఓం.
Dhanyavad.